Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 5 things that are common in the US but don't exist in Germany, and we're going to check this out. I'm sort of viewing this from the European perspective. I know I said in the video a few days ago, sort of how I feel like Britain, or more so England, is like the US of Europe, just pretty much sort of like not liked. And that's not to say the US isn't liked by the world, but like it's just like there's a look on the US that I feel like England has by Europe. Understandably, to be honest, I mean, there's definitely reasons there, but I just feel like, yeah, Britain, or at least England, are, also because it's an island, it's on the outskirts of, like, I say the outskirts, it's on the edge of Europe. I just feel like Europe doesn't really like England. But even then, that being said, I feel like there's still a lot of similarities with Germany and England. Like, if I do think, like, Britain is, like, in the middle in terms of, like, the US and, like, Germany, or, like, Europe. Like, it has similarities with both sides, which kind of makes sense because it is in the middle, although a lot closer to Europe and also in Europe. But we're going to check this out and see. I feel like, again, there's a lot more sort of consistencies and like things similar with Germany than there would be with the US. So I feel like I can sort of relate in a sense. But we're going to check this out. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon, where you can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube, like movies, TV series, all that good stuff. But let's check this out and see things that are common in the US that don't exist in Germany. And maybe I'll see if any of these are existing in the UK or not. But yeah, let's jump into this.
I'm currently going back and forth between the US and Germany quite a lot, and these 5 things are totally common for me whenever I'm here in the US, but don't exist in Germany.
Let's get it.
Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. Now, I just came back from Germany in October, and while I was there, I made this video where I talked about 5 essential everyday things at my parents' house in Munich that are totally common in Germany, but that I never see in the US. So today, I want to talk about 5 things that are common here in the US that aren't really a thing in Germany. Number 1 is air conditioning. Now, of course, the technology of air conditioning does exist in Germany, and you can buy air conditioning units in Germany, but having AC in your home is very uncommon. Whereas here in the US, I'd say it's pretty standard. Most houses will have what's called a central HVAC system. HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Bro,
so you'll have air ducts.
I used to think air conditioning was just cold air, and then I've obviously learnt that it's also warm air. Like, people can use it for heating. That baffled me when I first found that out, because I always just assumed you'd have your heating and then you'd have your aircon. But I don't know if it's everywhere in the US, but you can use it for cold and for warm, which fascinated me to start off, and obviously now I understand it. But
it's going through the entire house, Luftschächte in German, with an opening vent in every room usually. Sometimes they're at floor, like right here. Sometimes
they're in the floor?
They're in the wall, or even in the ceiling in some cases. And this system is used for both heating and cooling. In the winter, the air will typically get heated up with a furnace in the basement before it gets blown into the air ducts. In the summer, the air will get cooled by an AC unit that usually sits outside, like ours. Ours also comes with a free outdoor cat. Her name's Bella. Houses from the 1960s, 70s, and later were usually built with these systems, but in many older homes like ours, the HVAC system had to be added later, like it happened in our case. Or instead, many people use portable AC units like this one, or these window units. You'll actually see these in a lot of windows in the US, especially in areas with lots of old buildings or low-income areas. Those houses then often have radiators for heating, which is also how we heat our homes in Germany. In total, over 90% of American households have some type of air conditioning, and it's also standard in commercial buildings and businesses, including grocery stores and even...
Oh, in grocery stores, you'll get them all the time. Like, aircon is like, I think that's in any grocery store really, though, because you don't want to like get it too hot in the grocery store, the food will go bad. That's just a common thing in any, I guess, store in general, to be honest, in any country, but it's more so in homes.
Schools. In Germany, on the other hand, only 30% have any type of AC at home, and even in commercial buildings, it's not something you can really expect. Newer buildings often do have AC, older buildings not so much. Grocery stores in Germany usually only cool the fridges and not the entire stores. What? And when it comes to AC in schools, knowing Germany, those will be the very last places to ever
Oh yeah, in school there's no way. School was horrible. In summer, like, you'd get fans, and you know when it's really hot and you're like stuck in a classroom and you got fans blowing on your face, as if that makes any difference. Like, to me, like, fans, they'll relieve you instantly, then they'll just end up making it worse because they're just pushing hot air around. There's no AC at all in British schools either, which is actually such a ball ache. But I kind of understand it because school finishes in like mid-July in the UK, and then you come back at the start of September, and you're missing a lot of the summer. But like, there's still 2 months beforehand where it does get typically quite warm. So I get why we don't have them or like AC in schools, but it would be a bit useful to a degree, but
AC. I mean, they also still use overhead projectors. I think the only place where AC is truly common in Germany is in cars. Reasons for this difference are, of course, the different climates. Large parts of the US get extremely hot temperatures, while summers in Germany are a lot milder, but I also think that construction styles and insulation play a role here. To break it down, this is what it looks like when a house is being built in the US typically, while this is what you'll see in Germany. Lots of brick and concrete, which on
it's always just brick here. Obviously, you have, I guess, wood is what like sort of structures the building to a degree, but I guess maybe in the UK they'll use like metals and stuff. But yeah, you're never seeing wood like that. Like, that is a fascinating thing as well. But I get it because it's obviously cheaper to build, and I guess the climates that they're built in, they don't need to be built, so there's like more insulation and stuff, so it does make sense.
Hot days usually keeps the heat out a little bit better than American homes do. And those window units don't even really work with German windows, unfortunately, even though more and more Germans are getting a portable AC unit like this one. And speaking of windows, number 2 on my list is window screens. Most windows in the US are slide windows, but once you've opened up the actual window part, there's usually...
See, I saw these in Romania because this obviously helps with like bugs. I don't know why this isn't a thing because there's bugs in every country. And don't get me wrong, like in England and Britain, you don't really get mosquitoes, which I guess is one of the major factors. In warmer climate countries, you'll get mosquitoes, which is why you have to get these. Otherwise, you're getting bitten 100 times at least in your sleep. Like when I went to Venice, they didn't have these, and it would get so hot in the apartments. And we would get bit like crazy. Like, Venice was amazing, but I tell you what, the sleeping there was the worst thing in the world. Like, the amount of times you get bitten in the night, it was horrible. But these just make sense, and they stop things like spiders getting in your house. And I've got such a phobia of spiders. I hate them, and they just cringe me out. So it just help avoid those kinds of things. But because I love sleeping with my windows open, so it would just help with that. But in the summer, that's when you're going to get bugs typically coming in your house, because it's just sort of the time of the year where it's warmer, so they're out and all that sort of stuff. And then you have your windows open, and then they come in your room, and then you get spiders crawling on you, and it's not fun. I've had that many times, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, thinking about it makes me cringe. Obviously, in the winter, it doesn't happen as much. But yeah, it's just a simple thing like this. Just put it on your outside of your window, and you're laughing. But it's not common here at all, if not a thing here at all anyway.
Usually a second layer with a bug screen. I think the purpose of this is self-explanatory. It's to keep all of the insects from coming into your home when you open.
I got sent one of these, a small one, but sadly my windows don't like slide up. I've got like an opening one where you open it up. It doesn't slide up, which is a bit of a shame, but...
Window. What's cool is that you can slide these open too if you want to, or even take them out altogether. They're also great when you have indoor cats that like to sit by the window, like ours, because you can open the window for them without having to worry that they climb outside. Now, of course, the concept of bug screens exists in Germany, but most windows in Germany don't come with a pre-installed bug screen like this one, which is very shocking to many Americans when they travel to Europe for the first time. My parents actually did install screens in front of some of our windows when I was little, but they were permanently stapled to the window frame, so it wasn't quite as practical.
Oh, that's the same in Romania with my girlfriend's dad. They weren't ones you could pull up. They are like stuck to the windows, and you have to like take a few minutes to actually get it out. So these are that just makes sense. Why? It just makes everyone's lives easier.
As this. When you look for it though, you'll see that there are in fact more professional solutions for bug screens that work with German windows, but I personally have never seen any of those used in real life in Germany. Not quite sure why, to be honest, because even though of course we don't have as many insects as people in Florida do, for example, we still have enough for this to be worth a shot. Did you know that there are also lots of movies and TV shows that you can access?
She's securing the bag. She's securing the bag. Ah, let's go. VPN. Wait, let's just see. What is the... What's the code she's using? Here we go.
avpn.com/Feli from Germany for the special Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal. You'll get an 83% discount, which means that it's literally only $2.03 a month. And you even get the first 4 months completely for free. So make sure to click the link down below and enjoy. Next up, we have something that many American households have in their kitchens, in their sink to be more exact. Now, we don't actually have one, but I figured I'll just stand next to the sink anyway for effect, because number 3,
I wanted to see it. I know what it's going to be. I wanted to see like in action, if that makes any sense.
Is, drumroll, a garbage disposal. I had never seen those before I moved to the US, and I thought they were absolutely genius when I first saw them, even though I've since heard that there are also many reasons that kind of speak against them. But first, what even is a garbage disposal? It's basically a shredder that's built into the sink drain to shred things like food leftovers.
Have people ever had problems with their fingers with these? I assume there's definitely situations where people have got a bit eager, stuck their finger in the sink without thinking, and bang, your finger's gone. Like, I'm assuming they are very powerful to the point where they can literally chop fingers off, but I don't really know. But yeah, is that a thing? I guess it's probably happened.
So that they don't clog the drain and can be conveniently flushed down with the water. There's usually a switch next to the sink, like a light switch, that turns the garbage disposal on and off. It's super important to never ever stick your fingers in there, by the way.
I'm looking forward to learning if you will get your arm out of there before Lily gets to the garbage disposal switch.
Now, even though we don't have a garbage disposal in this house, I did have one in a few of the places that I lived in before, which actually kind of lines up with the official statistic that says that about 50%, so half of American households, do have a garbage disposal. Damn. Meanwhile, in Germany, they're actually illegal in most municipalities, and they're very uncommon in most other countries of the world too. Now, there's a whole debate about whether or not flushing shredded food leftovers down the sink drain is bad for the environment and for the plumbing. However, I'm not an expert on that, so we're not gonna get into that here. I just wanted to bring up that there is a debate, but either way, what's for sure is that it's very convenient. And we're staying in the kitchen because one item that's very common in the US, especially here in the Midwest, and that many Americans desperately miss when they move abroad is this.
Oh.
Ranch. Yep.
Oh, that's just sauce.
You heard right, Americans. Ranch is not a thing in the rest of the
world. Only place you can get it is in Subway. There's the option to get ranch sauce in your Subway sandwich, and that is literally the only time I've ever seen it. Obviously, if you go to like an American restaurant, you're gonna be able to get it because you can get all kinds of American things in those restaurants because that's what they're for. But like, you're not gonna be able to just buy it like in a bottle from a store, that's for sure, unless you go to like an American themed shop. But typically, they only really sell like sweet stuff. So even then, I don't know like the chances of that, but you probably can if you really want to go out your way to get it. Find a shop, or probably just get it on Amazon. To be honest, Amazon's probably the best way to get this kind of thing if you're not in America. Honestly, actually, that probably is the best way to do that sort of stuff.
The world. Even in the UK, which in a lot of cases is a little more similar to American culture, it's not something that you'll find on restaurant menus or in people's fridges, and I've really never come across this in any country other than the US and Canada. Now, those of you not from the US are probably wondering, why is she holding a bottle of yogurt dressing in the camera? Well, it is in fact a type of salad dressing, even though it doesn't really have that slightly sour taste of yogurt that you might expect. It actually took me a while to get used to the flavor when I first came here because my brain didn't really know which category to place this in. But don't worry, I've since come to love and appreciate it. It's made from buttermilk, mayonnaise, onion, mustard, herbs, and a few other ingredients. And it's not only the most popular salad dressing in the US, it's also commonly used as a dip for things like chicken wings, veggies, and even pizza. Most American pizza places give you a selection of...
Oh wait, let me see these options actually. This is garlic mayo, right? This garlic sauce. Because in the UK, 100%, it's kind of... I mean, I don't want to say it's similar to ranch because it's not. It's basically, we just have... And I think it probably is this one, garlic, but it doesn't say garlic mayo. Basically, garlic mayonnaise is the #1 dip when it comes to like pizza dippings, for sure. But let me just see something. Hot buffalo. Sweet. This sounds good. Oh, I love a bit of fruity sauce. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds a bit weird. Honey barbecue, yeah, that would go crazy. Blue cheese, marinara sauce, sweet icing. Is that like icing for like sweet? Wait, I'm confused. You dip your pizza in this?
Dips with your pizza, but it's also just become a flavor in the US. So there are ranch flavored chips, for example. There's ranch flavored sour cream, and there's even ranch flavored seasoning in powder form that people put in all kinds of things like marinade, chili, or even on popcorn. That's a whole other culture shock, by the way.
Ranch pop. I mean, like savory popcorn is very nice, but ranch popcorn. I mean, okay, I'm here for it.
Now, I'm sure that if you look for it, you can buy ranch in certain stores in Germany, and some American-themed restaurants might have it too, but it's not a common thing, and most Germans have never heard of this, let alone tried it. So if you ask for ranch dressing at a German restaurant, they'll probably have no clue what you're talking about. Okay, we moved into the car because the last point on my list has to do with driving, particularly driving too fast, which you should not do. In the US, it's very common to see cop cars sitting on the side of the road, even on interstates.
This is like from like American TV shows and stuff. This is just like, this is America. Like when I think of this stuff, like you wouldn't get this in many other places. I'm sure police do wait in certain other countries, but usually it's like a camera, and then the camera will take their license plate, and then it's just easier to get like give them tickets like that. This just seems a bit more like I don't actually understand why they do it, to be honest. Because if you just get a camera, I don't know the efficiency, but I assume like people get caught out every time they get caught in the camera. So surely it would make sense to have the cameras. Although maybe in the US they have cameras as well, but this is just an additional way to catch people out. I don't really understand, but yeah, why is this like so much more common in the US? She's probably going to explain, but it is a bit like when I see like cops waiting on the side of the road, you only really see this in the US.
Watching the traffic. They'll be on the shoulder, in the median, and often even hidden behind a curve or a bridge. And if they see someone who's speeding, or driving suspiciously, or committing some other type of traffic violation, they'll go after them and pull them over for a traffic stop. And if you actually did something wrong, they might give you a ticket right then and there, which can actually get pretty expensive. Speeding tickets, for example, are usually over $100 in the US and can go as high as several $100s. And I think most people, even outside of the US, have probably heard of cases where a traffic stop escalated and ended in a tragedy.
$100 or more? Jeez, man. Do cops get a cut of the money? Because if that's the case, I can sort of see why they would wait. I don't think they would do, but that's crazy. To be fair, I don't really know how much they cost on average in the UK, but that does seem like quite a lot.
That's not the norm, of course, but it does happen. Now, I've never actually been pulled over myself in the US, but I have been a passenger when other people were pulled over before, and I will say it's definitely intimidating, so I honestly really hope that I will never get pulled over and never have that experience, because I think especially as a foreigner who's not a citizen, I'd get really nervous and probably forget all about the smart tips about how you're supposed to act during a traffic stop and just freeze. Now, traffic stops do exist in Germany, but it's not the main way of how speeding violations are tracked, and seeing a cop on the side of the road like that is not common at all, especially on the interstate, aka the Autobahn. I'd probably think that the cop car broke down if I ever saw that in Germany. Instead, speeding is typically monitored with radar cameras that are set up temporarily in certain spots, or sometimes even stay there permanently. We call them Blitzer colloquially, so flashers, because they take a picture of you when you're going over the speed limit with a bright flash, and then you'll usually have a letter in the mail a few weeks later with the fine, which used to be relatively low in Germany, but they actually raised them a few years ago, so now I think they go anywhere from 50 euros to several hundred. But when I was young, some speeding tickets were only like 15 euros. What are some other things that are totally...
Speeding tickets are just a lot then. God damn. I assume in the US you have cameras as well, right? I mean, I guess it's just a mixture of the two. As a foreigner in the US, I can say that cops are generally friendlier and more lenient to us because they understand that we may not fully understand everything in the US, in the American road system. That's a pretty fair observation, to be fair. In most EU countries, food leftovers are disposed in the organics container to be turned into compost. In NL, where's NL? For example, every household will typically have 4 containers compostable paper, PMD, plastics, metals, and drink cartons and other. To be fair, I think that's the same here. I mean, I have food waste, and then like the black bin for like stuff that can't be recycled, and then the recycling bin. I think that's the same in the US. I don't know. Is there food waste in the US? So like when you say like obviously if you don't have, because she said not everyone has them in the US. If you have food waste, will some people like be able to get rid of the food from like, is it bin? What they called in the US? Just binmen in the US as well. Basically people that just collect your rubbish. Is there people that collect your food waste as well? Because obviously in the UK you just put your food waste out with your other stuff and it gets collected. But I assume in the US it's the same. But if like 50% of people have garbage disposal, it makes it kind of awkward because some people can do it, some people can't do it. But yeah, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed this reaction, and yeah, until next time, subscribe. Peace.